2025, I'll be doing the biggest kitesurfing stunt in the history of the sport.
All right, Stig, Robbie Nash here. Got a few questions for you. How's your relationship with the brand evolved over the years?
When I first joined Nash, for me kiting was a hobby and a way to explore at the time the Netherlands and explore the water and let my energy out and have a fun thing to do when there was nothing else to do basically. And every time you would be a bit more engaged with the wind and everything. Because you needed wind obviously, so we were very aware of the weather and everything from a very young age. I joined Nash when I was 14 and it was my first kite sponsor, and I always felt very taken in because I lived very close to the dealer in Holland. He would take me on weekends to different kite spots to do demo events, and back then I saw the sport as a hobby and as a fun thing to do. And now it has become a tool to travel the world, but at the same time meet really inspiring and nice people, and also make a living out of it, which is the dream for any professional athlete, I guess.
What initially inspired you to join the Nash team?
When I grew up, I was always looking on the internet, all the videos on YouTube and so on, and Nash, they always came out every year with the absolute best commercials. I was always waiting for their commercials to come out, and they would put a release date on the website and I would know exactly when, and I would be waiting at home, checking, refreshing YouTube in order for it to upload, and I was always super excited to see their edits. I think this also maybe gave me the inspiration to do what I do today, and it's a bit more focused on video projects, just because from a very young age I was always inspired to use a bit of that creativity.
Who or what has really been the biggest influence in your career?
The biggest influence in my career is, I wouldn't be able to give you one person, but I think over the years this changed a lot. For the first years of kiting, I was mostly inspired by kiters itself. So for example, Yuri Zoon, he was always a very big inspiration for me, just because he was so powerful and he was doing everything with so much, he was so explosive in his moves. And when I started kitesurfing, I started with freestyle, and he at the time was winning all the freestyle competitions. And then later it was a bit more Ruben Lenton for his craziness, and Nick Jacobson as well. And then as I got a bit older, where I am now, I started to look at sports outside of the industry, and I follow a lot of people outside of the kiting industry, so complete different sports. And I try to get inspiration from their stories and from what they're doing, and try to find a link to kiting in that sense.
So at this stage of your career, what excites you the most about the future of the sport?
I think that a lot of people are still unaware of how cool kitesurfing is, and I would like to inspire more people to start kiting and have a taste of how amazing this sport is. I'm still exploring so many places and so many opportunities myself, and the gear is getting better, which means that it just allows me to do cooler projects or become more creative. And I think in this sense that the sport is endless, and I think there's so many still places to explore and ways to make the gear better that there's always, I feel every month or every 2 months it's evolving somewhere, and this keeps it very interesting and entertaining for me to wanting to be part of this.
How's the technology and equipment evolved during your time with Nash as a sponsor?
I remember really well in 2015 I was doing a demo event in the Brouwersdam in a spot in Holland, and that was the first time that I saw the pivot. It's kind of the perfect kite for everything, and I still believe to this day that if you want to ride one kite that's good at everything, I think there's no better kite on the market than the pivot, just because it allows me to do basically everything I want or could imagine to do with a kite, and I ride my competitions with it. I bring it when I go foiling, and this kite has developed a lot over the last years, and now that we're having the pivot and vision, which is the Alula version. It allows me to even take more performance out of this already such a successful and good kite. And yeah, I remember really well, like 2 years ago, when the pivot and vision was there for the first time. I was just learning, I was progressing and learning so many new tricks, and it like gave back a lot of the fun in kiting.
How do you balance the pressure of competition and maintaining your love for the sport?
I think this is really difficult, and I think I haven't really figured it out. I mean, I started competing ever since my first year of kiting, so that was in 2014. After half a year of kiting, I did my first competitions, which were the Dutch Nationals, and there I became fourth, and I was never expecting to like do well at my first competition ever, because it was like, for me it was a hobby and something fun, and I only super recently started doing it. But then I was super motivated to do better tricks and to get better and to become Dutch national champion and all these things. And then later it shifted to wanting to be part of the King of the Air and the Mega Loop Challenge and all these competitions that I had looked up to since I was a little kid. And then the moment I sort of reached that point where I'd done the biggest competitions that I've dreamt of since I was a kid, like getting a podium, for example, at the King of the Air, competing the Mega Loop Challenge and all these things, I kind of felt a little lost and not so motivated, and I started looking for other reasons to keep doing what I'm doing, and that shifted very naturally into creating content and to creating videos in a very creative way that nobody had really done before. So I shifted my focus a little bit more towards this, and I think because I chose sort of like a bit of a new way of having fun with a kite, yeah, there's like a whole new book or chapter that's sort of open. If you just train and crash and train and crash and do competitions, like at some point it becomes almost like I felt like I almost became my own enemy. I was like not really the nicest person and very egocentric, or like, yeah, I was very much busy with myself and getting myself better, but not really busy with everything else around it.
So if you could, what advice would you give your younger self?
Keep making thoughtful decisions, don't regret anything, and try to have as much fun along the way. And if the mindset's positive, then there will be opportunities that you didn't know existed before, but because you're thinking positively, these opportunities will arrive. And if you keep thinking like that, then hopefully you would have gone even further. If I would have known that from a younger age, I would have gone even further than I am right now, I think.
What has been the standout moment of your career so far, or maybe your top 3 moments?
The top 3 moments in my professional career, I think the thing that stood out to me the most, I think, is the first time I traveled to Brazil. That was back in 2017. I went together with a friend, and we went on like a training trip together. So that must be one. And then the second most memorable thing, I think, is becoming an international team rider for Nash, and like having a salary and making a living out of what I love doing so much. And then the third most memorable highlight must be coming third at the Red Bull King of the Air. That was like a lifelong goal to compete and then let alone get a podium. So yeah, that must be the top 3.
What was it like being a rookie back then without social media like today?
When I grew up, social media wasn't as much of a thing as it is now. We had YouTube, and we still had like some kite DVDs with old movies, and we had magazines. So I would go to Telstar Surf when I was like 14 years old on my bike, and I would go there and then we'll just go read all the magazines, because I didn't have money to go and buy the magazines, but I would just go sit in the shop and read the magazines and see the cover shots and see all the articles from the guys that I was following. And then at the same time, I had like a tiny little iPod, I think the iPod 1 or whatever, the first edition of the iPod, and I was like looking all the movies on YouTube of the guys that they were producing back at the time, and I had probably seen every single movie online at the time.
What message would you like to share with the next generation of riders that look up to you?
Depends. If you want to become a professional kite surfer, I think you will need to find your own twist in a way, where you create your own sort of form of riding, whether it's style or whether it's you do certain video projects or whether you do the competitions. I think you need to find your own twist and find a twist that makes you the most happy, because if you're not happy, you're going to push something for some time, but at some point you're going to drain out and it's not going to give you energy, and yeah, you won't be able to maintain it. And if you are not wanting to become a pro, just have fun. It's all about fun. That's why I do it. So,
If you had to describe your 10-year journey with Nash in 3 words, what would they be?
exciting, adventurous, appreciative.
So tell me, what does success mean to you now compared to when you first started?
Success for me at the beginning, it was something I really wanted to achieve, because it was my dream to become a professional kite surfer and to live this life and to do what I want to, to do what I wanted to do since I ever started kiting in the beginning. So then the moments that you do start to get more like recognition for what you're doing, so you're winning competitions or you're getting podiums, I think especially at the beginning I wasn't handling the, I wouldn't say fame, because we're not that famous, we're only famous in the kite world, but I wasn't handling it maybe that nice, just because I thought I had done it and I had like achieved everything, but I didn't. So back then it meant that I wanted to, sort of make a career out of it, so therefore success was needed. And now I just see it more as a tool to achieve more things that I want to do. So it's like, I don't really care about the fame anymore. I just try and use it as a tool to move forward and achieve things that before I had these results were not possible. So for me, this is what success means now, is just to use it in the right way.
So looking ahead now, what are your personal goals or aspirations with the next phase of your career in kiteboarding?
I would love to make this sport more accessible for people that have nothing to do with kiting, and bring more people into the sport and show how amazing our lifestyle is and what we do. And then for this year, 2025, if everything goes right, I'll be doing the biggest kite surfing stunt in the history of the sport.